Have you ever taken the time to ask yourself, what do I believe about that? Every moment of your day is lined with what you believe about the world. So the real question is, are those beliefs in alignment with who you desire to be? You will never accomplish anything that is outside of your belief system, whether that belief is true or not. So on today's episode, we are going to be addressing the beliefs that may be limiting your potential. Life is full of difficult questions, experiences that leave you asking more questions and offer very little direction. You need a way to tap into your potential and have a roadmap to become the best version of yourself. Welcome to the Neuro Coach Podcast. My name is Trisha Peterson, and this is where we go below the surface into your subconscious to rewire the brain and finally align yourself with the person that God designed you to be. The only thing that you're missing right now is an internal connection between today's thoughts and tomorrow's outcome. So get excited. This one simple question could help you find the missing piece that you always knew you needed, but didn't know how to find. Well, hello, my friends. I am super thrilled to be able to continue talking with you on this conversation about the equation and how it plays into every aspect of your life. So if you are just jumping in, and this is the first time you've heard me talk about the equation, I would invite you to pause for just a moment. Go back just a few episodes, because we are in the middle of this conversation about the equation and how every experience that you have is completely neutral. That's the hardest thing for people to wrap their head around, because we go through experiences and we feel like this doesn't feel good or that is just not right. Every experience, while it is neutral, your perception of that experience is definitely not neutral. It is definitely something that has a lot of charge to it. Once we understand the equation, that all of that charge comes from our perception of the experience, then it's a little bit easier for us to begin to wrap our head around it, which is why we've been spending so much time going inside your box, your perception, and the things that are going on inside of you. So in episode 3, we talked about our thoughts and how our thoughts are the foundation to everything that happens. And then in episode 4, we talked about your feelings and how it's your feelings that give charge to all of those things in your thoughts. And so both of those episodes are really important to this conversation, especially today as we dive into beliefs. And what is a belief and how do they get stuck? And what are those things that are happening that make it so that we are not showing up the way that we want to? So today we are going to be diving into these beliefs, which I'm super excited about because it's such a fascinating conversation. Beliefs are simply just a thought that you've had that has been put on repeat. So when we started talking about thoughts, I introduced you to the reticular activating system, which is super, super helpful in your brain, that takes all of these everyday normal activities and says, oh, we've been doing that a lot. Let's just skip that neuron that teaches us how to do that and just get to the end result. And so your reticular activating system puts everything on repeat. So when you have these thoughts that happen over and over and over, that is how they become a belief. It's because we have had that thought so many times that we begin to accept it. We begin to say, oh, I know what happens. I know the feelings that come up when I have that thought. I know exactly what happens when those thoughts come up. And so we're just going to attach that to the reticular activating system and start to jump over those neurons in between, where we get to decide how we feel about that. All of those things become automatic. So when we have these thoughts over and over and over, your brain is trying to help you. It's trying to help you be more efficient. It is trying to help you become better. Now, this is where these limiting beliefs are oftentimes accepted, is because we either as a child or even as an adult, if we have these thoughts that happen over and over, there's a lot of times that parents growing up will say, well, why do we have to do that? You'll ask them that dreaded why question. And because parents get at their wit's end, they'll say, well, that's just how we are. That's just what we do, right? That is that default to shut down that why question. But it's oftentimes that those are the things that cause these limiting beliefs. And so we will begin to accept, well, I'm a Peterson, and so that's just what we do. Or the Joneses, we just save every penny that we get. So we begin to accept these limiting beliefs about all different kinds of things. The way that you interact with money, the way that you interact in a relationship with your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend, the way that you show up at work. It's all lined with these beliefs that you have accepted over the years. Now, all of that is fantastic if those beliefs are in alignment with the person that you want to be. But the majority of the time, they're not. And we have to fight these automatic beliefs that are happening. We have to fight these things because we've accepted something that isn't 100% true or in alignment with who we are trying to become. So all of the thoughts that you have going through your day, most of the time, they're pretty harmless. Most of the time we have these thoughts and they can just be fleeting thoughts and they don't actually mean much. But sometimes when that thought becomes internalized because it attaches with a feeling and that becomes so habitual that we don't recognize the damage that it's doing to us, we start running off of these beliefs that are really hurting who it is that you're trying to become. Once a belief is accepted, it then becomes part of your identity. And so as you are reaching for a goal or as you're trying to make changes in your life, if we're not addressing these beliefs that are sitting under the surface, you'll continue to sabotage everything that you have been working for. You'll continue to sabotage your progression, and then you'll end up beating your head against the wall and say, why do I always do this? Why is it that I have this grand idea, all of these things, and it's so good, that's what I want to do and who I want to become, and then you try to take action towards that and nothing happens, or you take a few steps and end up falling on your face. Those things continue to happen because of the beliefs that you have. Like I said, every step you take is lined with a belief and how you are showing up in the world. So because we know how all of these beliefs are now accepted, it is easy to say that you are what you believe. You show up in the world because of how you believe, because of what you believe about the world. So there's a quote. I have no idea who said it. I tried looking it up, figure out if I could credit it to somebody, and there were several people who had credits to it. So I don't know who said it, but it says, nobody grows old. When people stop growing, they become old. So as we stop this progress of focusing on our thoughts and what is it that we believe and challenging those things, questioning what it is that you believe, that's when we start to get old. That's when those things, those areas of our lives begin to wither away because we're no longer growing in those areas. So a belief reinforced awareness changes your biochemistry. So let me explain this. Let's dive into this a little bit because this is so fascinating. Once you accept a belief, it changes the chemistry within your body and how you show up. So you will hear as we go throughout this episode, as we go throughout this podcast, you'll hear my story of how I have struggled with depression, deep, deep clinical depression. And once you accept that belief, and we focus on that belief of I'm depressed, it physically changes the chemistry in your body to a point where you literally cannot get out of bed. Once we accept that belief of who we are and it becomes our identity that I am depressed, it changes what you are capable of doing. So let's look at another example. I hear all the time people say in passing, like, oh, I'm so stupid. And when we say that so many times, it changes the chemistry in your brain where the information that you're receiving literally cannot stick. Because if you gain more information, then it can no longer support the belief that I'm stupid. And so you will begin becoming more forgetful. You will not be able to learn. You won't be able to retain information. You can learn the information, but you won't retain it because you have a belief that says, I'm stupid. And so I'm not going to be able to accept those things because now that goes against who I am and the identity that I have. So it's sometimes something so simple that puts these limiting beliefs on us because of the simple things that we say. But the more we reinforce those with our thoughts and the things that we're talking about, all of those things, it changes the chemistry within your body to actually prohibit you from showing up and doing those things that you want to be able to do. You are what you believe. So how do we change that? If we don't want to be that anymore and we want to change these limiting beliefs, we will talk about that a lot as we go through this podcast. But it's something that the principles behind it are really simple. Change only happens in the conscious mind. All of your beliefs are stored in the subconscious because we don't want to have to think about those things all of the time. That's why that reticular activating system is in place. That moves everything back to the subconscious mind. So if we want to change those beliefs, we have to bring that to the conscious. Remember, you are in control of what it is that you believe, but change never happens in the subconscious mind. So we have to bring those things to the conscious. You have to be aware of what it is that you're saying. You have to be aware of the people that you are surrounding yourself. Are they supporting that belief that you have? This goes into everything that you do, the way that you interact with the world, the way that you show up. So once we bring that awareness to those beliefs, then you get to start asking yourself. Ask yourself, what is it that I want to believe in this situation? You have to do a little bit of self-reflection and say, do I want to hold on to this belief? If you chose to believe that, because you're in control, then that also means you can change it. You can accept something different. You get to decide all of those things. But as long as these beliefs, as long as these things stay in our subconscious mind, that's what puts us on a hamster wheel, just running over and over and over, trying to make changes, but nothing is actually changing. It's because we're not addressing the beliefs. You will never accomplish anything that is contrary to what it is that you believe. So if you have this belief deep down that says, I'm never going to be able to have a business, or I'm never going to be successful, or I'm doomed in all of my relationships. If you have this belief deep down, then all of those things that you're wanting to accomplish will actually never come about because of these beliefs. So I want you to begin to challenge, what is it that I believe? Do I believe that I'm capable of having a good relationship? Do I believe that I am able to be successful, that I can have that job or have that business? You have to start to believe in yourself. And it starts with doing a little bit of that self-reflection, taking the time to say, I can see where all of those thoughts were solidified in my subconscious where I accepted these limiting beliefs. And sometimes it's a little bit tricky to find. I want to be able to help you find these beliefs that you have that are not supporting the person that you're trying to become, which is why I put everything together in the equation guide that you can download. It's totally free for you. If you go to neurocoachpodcast.com/episode 5, you'll be able to download this guide that's going to help walk you through what is it that I believe, what are the feelings that are attached to it, and what's that belief deep down that is dictating how I'm showing up in the world. And when we are able to see those things, that's when we get to start seeing the real change. That's when you start seeing like, wow, I really can accomplish anything that I set my mind to. But you have to start addressing those beliefs that are keeping you from showing up in the world. Don't you love the power of your brain? It is so amazing. If you found this episode helpful in any way, send us a review, give it some stars, and cheer us on. I make a point to read everything that you sent in because, believe it or not, your words are powerful and they make a difference, not only to me, but anyone who stumbles upon this podcast. So thank you for your love and encouragement. And in case you forgot, you're more exceptional than you think. You're stronger and braver than you allow yourself to feel. And what you are contributing right now means more to the people in your life than you will ever know. Today's going to be a great day. So thanks for diving in deep with me. And I'll see you next week on another amazing episode of the Neuro Coach Podcast.